Good afternoon. Welcome to the Analyst. Today we'll be taking up 5 newspaper articles from the Hindu and the Indian Express and discussing them. The handout for the same will be available in the description of this video for your kind perusal. Please have a look at that. The first article that we'll be taking up is related to Citizenship Amendment Act, as the Ministry of Home Affairs has notified the Citizenship Amendment Rules 2024 and now the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019 will be implemented. The second article is related to cryptocurrency, as Bitcoin has hit a record high of $71,000. The third article is related to Mission Divyastra, as India has successfully test fired Agni 5 ballistic missile. The fourth article is related to Tipraland, as the central government has signed a tripartite agreement with the Tripura government and the state's main opposition party Tripura Motha for enabling the resolution of the long pending demands of the state's tribal population. And the final article is related to the issues in central transfers, as the southern states have been facing a decline in their share out of the revenues being transferred from the center to the states. Now, the first article is related to Citizenship Amendment Act. The context behind it is that recently Ministry of Home Affairs has notified the Citizenship Amendment Rules 2024, and this will enable the implementation of the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019. So first we'll be discussing the provisions of the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019 and the concerns related to it, and then we'll be coming on to the rules. This is important in GS2 under the topic governance and important enactments by the government also. Now first, what are the provisions related to the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019? It provides for Indian citizenship. That is, Indian citizenship can be given to the people belonging to the various religious minorities in the neighboring countries of Bangladesh, Afghanistan and Pakistan. It will be given to the people belonging to the religions, that is Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, Christians, Parsis and Sikhs. It names the religions also explicitly, and it will be given to the people who have entered India before 31st December 2014 and people who have fled their home country because they were fearing religious persecution, because they were afraid that they might be persecuted or killed because they belong to a religious minority. They can't be given citizenship under this act if they are coming to India because of other reasons, for example, in the search of better economic opportunities or greener pastures, etc. And they will be given citizenship quickly, a fast track citizenship, that is under the Citizenship Amendment Act 1955. Any person entering India could be given citizenship based on registration or naturalization if they had stayed in India for at least 11 years out of the past 14 years, out of which they must have resided in India for the past 12 months also. Under the Amendment Act of 2019, the people can be given citizenship within a period of 5 years only, not 11 years. Plus, it amends the definition of illegal immigrant also. It says that the illegal immigrant will be any person, any foreigner who has entered India without the valid documents, that is a valid passport or a valid visa, or a person who has entered India with valid documents with a valid passport and visa but has overstayed the permissible time limit. They will be illegal immigrants and they will be awarded citizenship under this act. But the act also creates certain exceptions. That is, the people who will be awarded citizenship under this Amendment Act of 2019, they will not be able to reside in the 6th schedule areas. That is, they won't be able to reside in the tribal areas in the states of Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura, and also in the areas where an inner line permit is required. For a foreigner to visit those areas, an inner line permit is required. So the people who will be getting citizenship under this act, they will not be allowed to reside in such areas. That is to protect the indigenous inhabitants or the tribal population of such states also. Now, there are certain concerns related to this act. The concerns are one school of thought says that it adopts a religion-centric approach because the Amendment Act states that people belonging to these 6 religions, that is Hindus, Buddhists, Jain, Sikh, Parsis and Christians, they can be awarded citizenship because they belong to such religious minorities in the neighboring countries, whereas it does not take into account the other people who are also facing persecution on the basis of religion itself. For example, certain sects of Muslims also face persecution in Pakistan, like Shias or Ahmadis. They also face religious persecution in Pakistan, which itself is a Muslim majority country. Likewise, the constitutionality is also questioned. For example, Article 14 provides for the right to equality. Also, the Constitution's underlying philosophy is based upon secularism. The term secular is included in preamble also. And there are even concerns that it might lead to a persuasion of conversions. That is, people belonging to other religions apart from the 6 mentioned in the Amendment Act, they might be persuaded to convert to any of these 6 religions so that they can get the benefit of citizenship under this Amendment Act. Plus, there are some technical legal shortcomings also. For example, the Joint Parliamentary Committee report, when the bill was tabled in 2019, it had noted that rather than listing the 6 religions in the Amendment Act, the Amendment Act could have used the term persecuted minorities in the neighboring countries. Likewise, it might lead to conflict in Assam, the Assam discord, because in Assam, now people who have entered illegally into Assam from neighboring Bangladesh, even after 1971 also, provided they have entered before 2014, they will also be able to register under the Citizenship Amendment Act of 2019, provided they are non-Muslims. So it will again lead to conflicts and clashes in Assam. There is a probability. Plus, there are other issues. For example, there is the exclusion of other people like atheists or Jews also. And there is exclusion of people who might be facing persecution in Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, etc. The act does not take into account the Sri Lankan Tamils, the Rohingyas coming from Myanmar, the Tibetan Buddhists coming from China. They are not given the benefit of citizenship under the Amendment Act of 2019. Now, what do the recent rules state, which have been notified by the Ministry of Home Affairs? One, it says that the applicants, the illegal immigrants, they have to fill a Form 8A along with the affidavits, whereby they will be verifying that the statements that they have given, they are true, and they will be verifying the character of the applicant also. They also have to give a declaration that they have an adequate knowledge of at least one of the languages which are listed in the 8th schedule of the Constitution, that is to ensure that they will be able to converse with the Indian citizens. And they have to submit the supporting papers also, supporting papers like a passport or an identity document, whereby they will be able to prove the lineage that they themselves or one of their parents or grandparents, they belong to the 3 countries which have been listed under the Amendment Act. They were citizens there. And they also have to prove that they entered into India before December 31, 2014, and the applicant or either of his parents was a citizen of the independent India. Now, the rules also prescribe for a process. As per the process, the applicant has to submit the application. Along with it, he has to give an affidavit verifying the contents of the application. Also, an affidavit has to be given along with it by an Indian citizen, whereby the Indian citizen will be vouching for the character of the applicant and stating that he or she has been residing here. The applicant will be applying online and e-application will be submitted to a district level committee. Earlier, the procedure was submitting an application to the district collectors, which came under the state governments. Now, 2 committees have been set up, district level committees and the empowered committee. The district level committee will be scanning the application and verifying the facts, etc. And then it will be asking the applicant to come and sign an oath of allegiance. If the applicant does not show up or refuses to take the oath of allegiance, then it can recommend to the empowered committee to consider the refusal of the application. The empowered committee's constitution has also been notified in the rules. The head of the empowered committee will be a director, the director of the census operations, and it will also constitute of the members, that is one deputy secretary of foreigners regional registration office and or a subsidiary intelligence bureau, and one state informatics officer of the national informatics center and the postmaster general of the state. And there will be two invitees also in the empowered committee. The two invitees will be, one will be a representative of the principal secretary home and one will be a representative of the divisional railway manager. The applicant will also have to submit some supporting documents including some documents issued by the government, for example a ration card, an Aadhaar card, a driving license, a marriage certificate, etc., proving that they have been residing in India, and the verification of entry date can be done through some documents like the stamp on the visa, passport, etc., or a certificate issued by the foreigners regional registration office. And once the application is approved, a digital certificate will be issued by the approving committee. Now the next article is related to cryptocurrency. The context behind it is that Bitcoin has hit a record high of $71,000. This is important in GS3 under Indian economy and issues related to planning, mobilization of growth and development, etc. Now first let's understand how does Bitcoin mining work, because we have been listening about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin mining is the process of creating new bitcoins by solving complicated maths problems as a way of verifying transactions. These are done by individuals who are known as Bitcoin miners. The process is explained beautifully in this chart. Suppose A wants to buy a product from B using Bitcoin, then A opens their Bitcoin wallet and B gives A their Bitcoin address. The transaction is bundled into a block with other transactions and they are sent to the nearest node on the Bitcoin network, and the network validates that transaction using a process called mining. Now this block is linked together by a hashing puzzle, and the miners need to verify the block by coming up with the hash code to solve the puzzle, because when they solve the puzzle they will be getting the reward, and there are more than 1 million miners usually who are trying to compete with others against others to solve it quicker, and for that they use specialized hardware and application specific integrated circuits and computers that operate at very high speeds. These powerful computers solve these complex hash puzzles. For that they require a large amount of electricity and hence they generate a lot of heat also. The first miner usually creates the hash code and receives the reward in bitcoins. The transaction is then complete and the newly verified block is added to the blockchain network and B receives their bitcoin. Now there are certain benefits of the cryptocurrencies. One, they are faster and there will be lesser transaction fees which will be involved in it. Therefore, they are treated like digital gold by the Bitcoin miners, and they are even serving like a hedge against inflation also. Plus, there will be no middlemen which will be involved, unlike the traditional fiat currencies like rupee, like dollars, etc., where there will be the central banks which will be controlling the supply of the money, supply of the currency, etc. And there will be privacy. That is, the transactions, they will be verified by the other nodes in the network, by the Bitcoin miners, and there will be complete privacy. Plus, it might promote financial inclusion. For example, there are still unbanked people in poorer countries, in third world countries, in India also, but almost everyone has the access to internet and through that they will be able to transact using cryptocurrencies. Plus, the freelancers who are involved in startups involved in Bitcoin mining or other crypto related work, they are usually paid in cryptocurrencies itself. They will be benefited, and there are business opportunities also which are opened through cryptocurrencies. For example, virtual gaming or non-fungible tokens, etc., through which the online trade is carried out to ensure privacy and anonymity. And in the international transactions, there won't be any third party involved, because when the international transactions are done in the traditional currencies, then usually the currency exchanges are involved and they usually charge a fee, which is not there in the case of the cryptocurrencies. But there are certain concerns related to the cryptocurrencies. There are some concerns which were highlighted by the SC Garg committee, which was established by the government in 2019. The committee highlighted that the cryptocurrencies, they are risky. They are risky to the consumers also. For example, they are speculative in nature. Like one tweet by Elon Musk and the cryptocurrency can go up or down. Plus, there is no sovereign guarantee also, because the traditional fiat currencies like rupee, etc., there is a sovereign guarantee by the central bank. In India, it is the RBI, and it might lead to a loss of access if the private key is lost, because the Bitcoin wallet, I have the access to my wallet if I have a private key to it. If I forget the private key, I won't have access to my own Bitcoin wallet also. And there is a cyber risk also involved, because the hackers, they steal bitcoins from your own wallet also sometimes. Plus, it might lead to increase in the criminal activities, because there is anonymity involved, and the illegal activities like drug running, extortion, etc., even terrorism, they can be funded through cryptocurrencies, because there won't be any track of the money and there won't be any involvement of the sovereign banks, and it might lead to money laundering also. Plus, there is, because there is anonymity, there is little role left of the central banks, and then the money may fall into the wrong hands and the supply becomes outside the purview of RBI. The RBI will not be able to effectively control the monetary policy or the control the supply of money in India, and it leads to high energy use, because Bitcoin mining, it requires the solving of complex puzzles, and for solving those, powerful computational tools are needed and powerful computers are needed, and they consume a lot of electricity and generate heat also, which again leads to a contribution to climate change. And the effectiveness of monetary policy will also be lesser, and it will in turn affect the macroeconomic stability of the country also, because the government will not be able to control the money supply in the market. And the cryptocurrencies, they do not have any underlying value. Their value is usually decided by the willingness of the people to hold them. If people are not willing, people do not have trust in that particular cryptocurrency, then it won't have any value. Now, what is the global outlook of it? How are the countries adopting it? The recent updates are El Salvador has adopted it. Like, it has floated the Bitcoin volcano bond also. Even there is a Bitcoin exchange trading fund which is proposed by BlackRock in USA. There are quite a few companies which are listed by Nasdaq. They are listed on the exchanges by Nasdaq, the companies which are specifically involved in crypto mining only. Israel has included the cryptocurrencies under the definition of financial assets. Germany has also included those under financial instruments. OECD has come up with a regulatory framework also, a crypto asset reporting framework. For example, under the crypto asset reporting framework, if an Indian is having any transactions in cryptocurrencies outside India also, they will have to report it to the Indian tax authorities. Therefore, the crypto asset reporting framework, it will ensure transparency in the global economic framework. It will ensure tax compliance and eliminate tax evasion in the cryptocurrencies also. Now, the next article is related to Mission Divyastra. The context behind it is that India has successfully test-fired the Agni 5 ballistic missile. This missile is capable of the multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicle MIRV technology. It has been developed by DRDO. This is important in GS3 under the topic Achievements of Indians in Science and Technology and Indigenization of Technology. So what is MIRV? Multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicle. Through this, a missile can target multiple targets. A single missile, even if the targets are located hundreds of kilometers apart, they can be targeted using a single missile which will have multiple warheads, and it can be targeted from land or from sea. From sea it can be launched from submarines, etc. Now it is particularly lethal. Why it is lethal? Because it can carry multiple warheads, whereas the conventional missiles, they usually carry a single warhead. Plus the warheads, they are released at different speeds and in different directions. They will be released from the missile, and it has an advanced technology because it uses a combination of large missiles and small warheads which need an accurate guidance. So it will become a complex mechanism whereby multiple warheads, they are released from the missile sequentially along its flight at different speeds and in different directions. So India has joined this select group of nations. As of now, USA, United Kingdom, China, Russia and France are known to have access to this MIRV technology. Israel is suspected to have it, and Pakistan is developing MIRV technology, and India has successfully test fired this. Now it will allow Agni 5 to deliver multiple nuclear warheads also against multiple targets across hundreds of kilometers. India had earlier completed its nuclear triad in 2018 when nuclear powered ballistic missile submarine INS had completed its first deterrence patrol. This is in line with India's nuclear doctrine. India, through its nuclear doctrine, says that we won't launch a nuclear attack on any country first, but if any other country launches a nuclear attack on us, then we should have a second strike capability. That is, if a nuclear missile strikes on land in India, then India should be able to launch a nuclear warhead through a missile from submarine, from sea, through other areas also. That is a second strike capability. At the same time, India should have a credible minimum deterrence also. That is, no other country should dare to launch a nuclear attack on India, because India has the strike back capability even if attacked through a nuclear warhead. So this has been launched through the test fired through the Agni missile. Let's look at the Agni missiles also. The Agni missiles, they are part of the Integrated Guided Missile Development Program. This was launched in 1983, and this is now ensuring the credible minimum deterrence also. The Agni missiles, they are solid propelled ballistic missiles. They are Agni 1 is a short range ballistic missile having a range from 700 to 1200 kilometers, whereas Agni 2 is an intermediate range ballistic missile having a range from 2000 to 3500 kilometers. Agni 3 is also an intermediate range missile from 3000 to 5000 kilometers, and Agni 4 is a long range 3500 to 4000 kilometers range ballistic missile, whereas Agni 5 is an intercontinental ballistic missile having a range from 5500 kilometers to 8000 kilometers. This data may be asked in prelims. Now Agni 5 is a missile which is now indigenously developed by DRDO, and thus it will help in ensuring India has the nuclear capabilities, because it can carry nuclear warheads also and has a capability of launching nuclear warheads beyond 5000 kilometers also. Therefore, we can now target any part of China also. And it is fueled by a 3-stage solid fueled engine. Now the next article is related to Tipraland. The context behind it is that the central government has signed a tripartite agreement with Tripura government and the main opposition party in the state of Tripura, the Tripura Mothas, for the resolution of a long pending demand of the state's tribal population. This is important under GS2 in governance, and it can be used in GS3 in internal security as well. Now the state's main opposition party, Tripura Motha, has a few demands. One of them is the demand for a greater Tipraland. It also demands for more autonomy for the Tripura tribal areas autonomous district councils. And it also says that the Kokborok language, which is the language used in Tripura by the Tripuri people, its script should be the Roman script. Now this Tipraland, this is the core demand of the main opposition party, the Tipra Motha. The demand is for a new state, for 19 indigenous tribes of Tripura under Article 2 and Article 3 of the Constitution. Article 2 of the Constitution empowers the Parliament to admit into the nation of India any new state by law, and Article 3 empowers the Parliament to establish a new state by altering the boundaries, names, etc. of the existing states. Now, what is the regional extent of the proposed state? From the map we can observe this is the state of Tripura, this is how it looks like, and the proposed Tipraland is the green region out of this total map of Tripura, which accounts for almost the complete state of Tripura. Now this proposed Tipraland includes every tribal person living in the indigenous area or the village outside the Tripura tribal areas autonomous district councils, and it is not restricted only to the Tripura tribal council areas. It includes the Tiprasa of Tripuris, even in the other states including Assam and Mizoram also. It includes even people residing in the bordering areas of the neighboring Bangladesh, the people residing in Bandarban, Chittagong area, etc., which belong to these tribes. Now, what is the origin of the demand of the Tipraland? The demand goes way back. There is an apprehension among the indigenous communities that there has been a demographic change in the state. And it has actually been, because in 1881, almost two-thirds of the population in the region was that of tribals, about 63.8%, whereas as per the 2011 census, the tribal population share has come down to less than one-third, only about 32% in the state, because there has been a huge influx of refugees, migrants from East Pakistan also. So they are afraid that there has been a demographic change in the state and they have been reduced to a minority in the state itself. Plus, there have been ethnic conflicts and insurgency. The state shares a long boundary of almost 900 kilometers with Bangladesh, and due to a continuous influx of the people from Bangladesh also, there is a clash between the tribal people of the state and the non-tribal people who are coming from outside, and this clash between the tribal and the non-tribal people, it increased so much that in 1980s the demand which was earlier of the more autonomy, that demand metamorphosed into demands for sovereignty, independence, etc. And it even took the shape of armed insurgency also in the state. Plus, it led to further a rise of the ethnic politics. The state's main opposition party says that the only solution for all the problems of the tribal population of the state is to carve out a new state, that is the Greater Tipraland in the state. Plus, there is an alleged discrimination which is faced by the tribal areas, the Tripura tribal areas autonomous district councils. The Tripura tribal areas autonomous district councils, they receive a mere 2% of the state's funds, whereas they account for about 40% of the state's population and almost two-thirds of the geographical area. These autonomous district councils, they are responsible for the development of these regions, and also they have legislative and executive powers also. They are even highlighting the issues related to the updation of National Register of Citizens in the state of Tripura, etc. But they have little access to the financial resources. Now, what does the new pact say? The pact which has been signed between the central government and the Tripura government and the state's main opposition party, Tipra Motha, it says that there will be an amicable resolution of all the issues of indigenous people of Tripura. This resolution will include the problems of rights, the land rights, political rights, cultural rights, identity rights, etc. Such issues will be resolved. There will be a joint working group which will be formed. This will be to work out the solutions as well as to oversee the implementation of the solutions which are proposed, and in the meanwhile peace will be ensured in the region. There won't be any protests, that people will be refraining from the protests in the region as long as there is the implementation of the solutions proposed by the joint working groups which will be established. Now, the next article is related to the issues in the central transfers to the states. The context behind it is that southern states have been facing a decline in the share of the resources transferred from the center to the states from Finance Commission to Finance Commission. This is important in GS2 under the topic federalism as well as fiscal federalism, and in GS3 under Indian economy and issues related to planning, mobilization of resources, growth and development. Now, Finance Commission recommends for the sharing of the revenues from the center to the states. For that, there have to be some criteria based upon which it makes the recommendations. The most important criteria that it takes into account is income distance. That is, the states where the per capita income is lesser, usually it is recommended by the Finance Commission, they should be getting more revenue from the central government so as to ensure the principle of redistribution of income is upheld to ensure more equity in India. At the time of Finance Commission 12, this criteria was given a weightage of 50%. At the time of Finance Commission 15, the criteria was given a 45% weightage. Therefore, the states where the per capita income is higher, that is the wealthier states, they usually complain that their share in the revenues will be lesser because their per capita income is more. The other criteria is the demographic change. That is, usually more sharing of revenues is done with those states where the population is higher. Therefore, to control the fertility rates, to control the population increase, the states which has taken the measures to control the rise in population, they will be at a disadvantage. That is the southern states where the total fertility rates, TFRs, have come down to less than 2 also, they will be at a disadvantage because their share in the central sharing of the revenues with the states will be lesser, and the states like northern states where the TFR is higher like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, etc., they will be gaining. So such are the complaints. The second table gives some good data also to highlight this issue. For example, the southern states, at the time of the Finance Commission 12, their share was about 19.78%, the southern states, of which we can consider Tamil Nadu also. Whereas at the time of the 15th Finance Commission, their share has come down by 8%, by minus 8% due to the income distance criterion. Therefore, they have been complaining. So, to overcome these, the article also gives some suggestions. For example, the center can consider reducing the cesses and surcharges. The cesses and surcharges are imposed by the central government on top of the taxes, and these are not to be shared with the states. These are kept by the center only. The share of the center, the share of the cesses and surcharges in the total revenue has been increasing, which the 16th Finance Commission can recommend reducing. Plus, the horizontal distribution also has to be reconsidered, because the wealthier states, they are usually penalized, and the laggard states, their debt burden, etc., it has to be serviced at the cost of the wealthier states which have been taking fiscal consolidation measures also. Plus, the income distance criteria weightage can be brought down. That is, the redistribution of income on the basis of per capita income, that can also be reconsidered. Plus, the 16th Finance Commission can recommend measures that the states which are reducing their debts and showing fiscal rectitude, they should also be rewarded, and performance oriented rewards can also be given. Plus, the freebies which the states usually give to the citizens, and therefore they increase their debt burdens, etc., they have to be dissuaded. For that, measures can be put in place by the 16th Finance Commission. Thank you.